Hello, I'm Ray. It's been a while since I've got the iPhone 10. Well, basically, I picked up mine in the early morning on the launch day, lucky enough. So I've been using it for well beyond 2 weeks, time to give it a full review. As always, the build quality and design come at the very top of the list for many people out there, and Apple's finally nailed it. The iPhone 10's unexpectedly small, but it comes with some weight. With a symmetrical, round and smooth overall design language, it feels like a pebble in hand. However, people around you can definitely identify it's the new 10, not a pebble. We really have to give Apple some applause for crafting this gadget like a piece of artwork. Jewelry, in fact. The space grey variant here is indeed grey, a really dark one. Suitable for business context for sure, but in certain lighting conditions it shines almost like a mirror. Wrapping up the two gorgeous reflective glass panels is the polished stainless steel frame. It contributes to the high-profile, shiny, flashy appearance of this one-of-a-kind $1,000 or pound phone. This is beautiful, trust me. Speaking of the design though, thanks goodness, Apple's finally ditched those massive bezels. Replaced with the full-vision Infinity, whatever you call it, Super Retina display. The notch is there, I can't lie that it won't affect my daily experience, but it's such a small portion of the massive display. As time goes, you will ignore it. Naturally, for sure. While among all those next to bezel-less phones, the V30's actually got the most balanced approach. The top and bottom bezels have been kept to minimal, but thanks to their existence, the 18:9 display comes in full, no notch whatsoever. The Note 8, needless to say, the curved Infinity Edge display is out of this world, but the slightly thicker top and bottom bezels compared to the V30, and the longer 18.5:9 aspect ratio have resulted a super tall form factor. Actually, the entire iPhone 10 can be fit into the screen of the Note 8. This is how tiny it is. Which is the best approach to all screen design to you? Let me know down in the comment section below. By the way, how tiny it actually is, put it next to the Sony XZ1. Without adding unnecessary height nor width to the device, the iPhone 10 actually shares a similar form factor with the Sony XZ1, which comes with a conventional 5.2 inches 16:9 display. But here on the iPhone 10, we've got a significantly longer or wider display, depends on the orientation that you are holding it. Long story short, the iPhone 10's the absolute smallest flagship smartphone in the second half of 2017, if we take away the boring iPhone 8. Can you imagine? Some minor flaws of the design in the meantime would be that 2015-ish camera bump. Also thanks to the glossy finish of the metal ring, it seems that as time goes, it's gonna pick up scratches pretty easily. And don't forget that glass back's gonna cost like $500 to get repaired. That's ridiculous. Still, it's easily the best crafted phone I've ever used, which also looks gorgeous. Move on to performance and features. Not much of a difference between this and the 8 in terms of performance. With the fastest processor on any smartphone, the Apple A11 Bionic, and the extraordinary well-optimized iOS, it simply kills every single task that you might throw at it at an incredible speed. So how fast it is in reality? Time to give it a speed test, launching the same list of apps like we did on all other tested devices. It flight over all the simple apps in around 21 seconds. While games launching has been even more impressive. In the end, it finished the first round in 64.5 seconds, faster than all other smartphones on the planet. But interestingly, the difference between the iPhone 10, 8 Plus or even the 7's well within the margin of error. In the second round, it seems that Apple's dealt with the RAM management issue finally. All the apps, including those games, were kept in memory, and switching between them's like a dream. All those animations literally silky smooth. One of the best multitasking experience, despite the 3 gigs of RAM. At the end of the day, it killed the test faster than all other phones. But during day-to-day navigation or casual tasks, there's not much of a difference between recent generations of iPhones. Interesting. The main advantage you are getting with the A11 Bionic chip though would be silky smooth 4K 60 frames per second video editing while on the go. And speaking of 4K 60 frames per second, like what we've tested out on the 8 Plus, we've also got 1080p to 40 frames per second crisp and clear slow motion recording capability here on the 10. Stepping out of the performance aspect though, the new gestures introduced alongside the iPhone 10 definitely take some getting used to, but it's a matter of hours to days for most of us. To me, they are interactive and can sometimes be really handy. Pulling down from the top right hand corner will give us access to the control center, while the other side, you will find yourself messing with those unsorted notifications. People like me who always have like dozens of notifications will definitely prefer Android's approach. Another smart use of a notch that many people have overlooked is the screen recording and Wi-Fi hotspot status. All similar stuffs are now minimized to just an icon outside the main display area. Compared to the disturbing banner in the past that takes up certain display area, the new way is much smarter. The implementation of the new home button, gestures, also well thought out. A single swipe to close the current tabs is natural and simply fast. The horizontal swiping, instant app switching gesture in the meantime further lifts up quick multitasking experience. While if you have to switch back to an app that is way down at the bottom of the recent apps list, then an easy upward then right turning gesture will get you there, not as confusing as you might have thought. Oh, before I forget, all those mentioned gestures also work in landscape mode, and if you need reachability, the double tapping gesture is now replaced with a single swipe. Down swipe, starting from the home button or pedal. It will also bring down the notification and control center trigger area. This is how I call well thought out. But completely killing the background apps now requires an additional long press. Hopefully they will bring back the simple effortless upward swiping command in the future. The real disappointment though is the iPhone X might be overly futuristic. You'll be fine scrolling along Facebook, watching YouTube or exploring others live on Instagram, but other than that, even mainstream or popular apps like Amazon Prime Video, the latest Need for Speed, Google Maps, and actually most other Google apps as well, all are not supported yet. For those unsupported apps, well, the majority of apps, there will be massive black bars on the top and the bottom. What a shame. And for apps that are not updated to fit the new screen yet, but were indeed designed to run in landscape mode, there will be 3 black bars altogether, leaving the home button or pedal outside of the cropped area. In the end, video playback experience on Amazon Prime or gaming experience on unsupported games on the iPhone X could be a deal breaker. Just give it some time. Playing supported games on this ultra-wide, almost bezel screen is incredible. Face ID also worked better than I've expected. Even with my glasses, overhead headphones and scarf, it recognized me in a matter of milliseconds. And it works seamlessly with Apple Pay, secure and blazing fast, like a contactless card. Animoji though is something gimmicky, but who knows? Some of you may find it fancy and another feature to distinguish your new 10 from the others. Can't wait to see people making funny faces in the tube. The exciting part, the camera. In response to Samsung's advanced dual optically stabilized camera setup, Apple's finally come up with something similar. Not only has it got dual IS support, but also a faster f2.4 aperture lens on the tele-lens compared to f2.8 on the 8 Plus. We are expecting crisper and brighter photos in low light from the tele-lens, better performance in portrait mode as well, again in low light. Before we go deep into the image quality, it's also worth a mention that the newly implemented True Depth camera on the front makes portrait mode or even portrait lighting possible while taking selfie. Same on the main camera. By the way, stay tuned for the ultimate flagship camera comparison, featuring the LG V30, HTC U11, Note 8, and of course the iPhone X. Here we've got dozens of DSLR-like photos, taken with the iPhone X, with portrait mode. After years of optimization and evolution, is now extremely accurate. With the 8 of dual optical image stabilization, the portrait mode now works so much better indoor or at night. Yes, at night. Even in challenging conditions like this jaw-dropping flexibility and those breathtaking bokeh effects definitely the best I've seen on any smartphone. Video quality on the iPhone X is also better than ever, especially under broad daylight. Again, it's got unparalleled dynamic range and wide color gamut. But unfortunately, low-light videos are grainy and dark as usual. The only complaint, to be fair. Here we've got 2x optical zoom before and after comparison. It's working, confirmed. While the image quality, their dynamic range, and color saturation as well, not oversaturated but very detailed, with unparalleled, extremely wide color gamut. It's among the best camera during daytime. That statement's true at night as well, finally. Glad to see Apple's made such a huge progress from the 7 to the 10. It's now bright, detailed and vibrant. Camera, check. Now we need a proper display to enjoy those magical, incredibly beautiful photos and videos. For the first time ever, an iPhone that comes with an OLED display. You guys might have already heard of those potential burn-in or image retention problems. The truth is, this happens on all phones that pack OLED displays. The best way to prevent it would be to avoid leaving the display at maximum brightness, showing the exact same image overnight. A 30 seconds to 1 minute automatic screen off setting could save a life and money in the end. So far I've got no issue regarding to that display on the iPhone nor my aged well S8 Plus and Note 8. Oh, speaking of those Samsung devices, Apple's taken a completely different approach to OLED. Yes, it does share some core similarities, like inky deep black, technically infinite contrast ratio, fantastic viewing angle. Meanwhile, the calibration of this OLED display is nothing alike to anything else on the market. The display here is ridiculously accurate. Colors are vibrant and detailed, thanks to the DCI-P3 wide color gamut, completing the multimedia package with a next to fantastic dual speaker setup, which can get loud with booming bass. Not much to complain, except the lack of a 3.5mm jack. Serious audiophiles, get the LG V30. That will blow your mind away. Last but certainly not least, the battery life. A 2700 16mAh battery might sound a bit tiny at a glance. I mean, even marginally larger than the one on the similarly sized Sony XZ1. With the efficient A11 Bionic chip and iOS's glory, battery life shouldn't be a problem. According to the standardized battery life test, that we played YouTube videos for an hour, checked Facebook timeline for another hour, and played Clash Royale for another hour at 50% screen brightness. The iPhone X actually managed to outperform mainstream flagships, including the Pixel 2, Note 8 and S8 Plus. But as Apple's claimed, the 8 Plus is still the king in battery life for iPhones. Still, with quick charging and wireless charging added to the package, you may get some life-saving battery power in a relatively short period of time. All in all, the iPhone X's got an inspiring, truly gorgeous design, with the best possible build quality and choice of material. The smoothest user experience on the planet, thanks to iOS and the A11 Bionic chip. One of the best cameras, if not the absolute best. A close to perfect dual speaker setup, and a fantastic display, well calibrated. On the contrary, battery life's just okay. The notch and all those gestures need some getting used to for sure. And the lack of a 3.5mm jack and a microSD card slot, as always. But generally speaking, it's a great phone. Still, I believe it's really hard to persuade anyone of you that the new 10's worth the $1,000 or pound price tag. It's definitely overpriced, but I'm using it, cause money can't buy happiness sometimes. As long as it makes your life happier, then it's worth it.